So today we're talking about co-op only games. These are games that require 2 players, and there isn't a single player option. And as usual, we are only talking about local couch co-op video games. We can't have this conversation without bringing up Hazelight Studios. They've pretty much become the gold standard for co-op video games. Everyone pretty much knows these games, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but they are very important for this very specific niche. Hazelight builds games from the ground up for 2 players. They also pioneered the Friends Pass, so if you have 1 copy of the game, you can invite a friend online to play the game with you for free. But also, all of these games have split-screen co-op as well. First, we had A Way Out. To sum it up, it's basically a prison escape game. You play as these 2 characters and work together to move forward into the story. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm guessing you already know this game. It Takes Two was the follow-up. It's very similar as far as gameplay goes, but very different as far as the tone goes. This one's a lot more lighthearted and cartoonish, but what it did take from A Way Out is that it crams as many genres into the gameplay as possible. One moment you're doing a one-on-one fighting game, then it turns into a 2D platformer, and then a third-person shooter. The gameplay is always changing and keeping you interested the entire time. And this year, 2025, we got Split Fiction, and this is already considered to be the best of the Hazelight Studio games. It basically took all of the best parts of A Way Out and It Takes Two and improved upon it. It still has all of the genres crammed together with story-based gameplay. There's a lot to be said about this game. I love it. It's easily in the running for one of the best co-op games of 2025. You can't go wrong with any of the Hazelight Studio games, and they're just really important when it comes to modern co-op gaming. Now I want to talk about a few short games, some demos, and an unreleased game. This one's called With You. This game's totally free, you can play it on Steam, and it's really short. You can play it in about 15 to 30 minutes. I really enjoyed this game. It's very simple, easy to pick up and play. It definitely reminded me of something like Snipper Clips. There's not a lot of challenge here, but it's definitely fun to play with maybe an inexperienced partner. This one's perfect for couples. And Twin Chorus. This is a game that I've talked about a handful of times on this channel, and I wish that it was a full game. It's pretty much just a demo. There's 1 or 2 levels here. It plays as an on-rail shooter, similar to something like Star Fox, but you can only play this one in co-op. There's no single player, just like all the other games here. You have 2 ships, you move around and shoot various enemies. And you have this really cool fusion mode where you merge together and one person flies and the other shoots. And then you take turns and it goes back and forth. I really wish that this was a full-length game. This is another one you can play for free, and it's just very high quality. It just should be longer. There's an upcoming game called Dual Fire Walled City. It has some Hong Kong crime film vibes. This one actually reminds me a lot of A Way Out. It seems to be heavily influenced by that game specifically. It's a lot more janky and low budget than that. This is another narrative-based game with voice acting, long cutscenes. It also seems to have a lot of variety in gameplay. This one's supposed to come out sometime this year in 2025. It looks a little rough around the edges, but hopefully it's a nice surprise. I'm just glad to see more narrative-based co-op games. Another game I briefly wanted to mention is a game that unfortunately never came out. It's called Together, Amna and Saif. Back in 2021, it had a successful Kickstarter. After that, it kind of just went radio silent. We haven't had any new updates in a while. So I'm not sure what's going on with this project. It might be completely dead, but hopefully it comes to fruition. But as of right now, it's kind of just unknown. What I've seen gameplay-wise, it looks like a pretty low-budget indie game. It's a 2D top-down puzzle game. You and your partner basically walk around and you step on various buttons to unlock doors and walk through the mazes. There doesn't seem to be any combat in this game. Again, it's just cool to see games that are co-op exclusives. I hope this one comes out. And let's talk about another new game. This one actually did come out very recently. It's called LEGO Voyagers. Right off the bat, I want to say that this is my favorite LEGO game ever. Me and my friend Sean played this game start to finish, and we had a lot of fun with it. Unlike the other games, It's not based off of a movie or some other pre-existing franchise. This is a totally new and original Lego story. And it actually kind of feels like an art game, which kind of seems like an oxymoron. How do you mix art with a video game based off of a toy that they're trying to sell? I don't know. Don't think too deeply about that. What I'm saying though is this has very beautiful visuals and it does tell a bit of a story. The reason why I said it feels like an art game is the story's told all through action and gameplay. There's no dialogue in the game whatsoever. And some of my favorite art games are very similar to that. Games like Journey, games like Voyage, and Limbo. This is another one that has the Friend Pass feature. So you could play it locally or just with one copy, you're able to play the game online with a friend. But overall, the gameplay is pretty simple here. You just go through the levels and you solve puzzles with Lego. It's definitely one of my favorite games of 2025. And like I said, it's definitely my favorite Lego game yet. Ibb and Obb. This has always been a highly regarded co-op indie game, but for the longest time I didn't know that it was a co-op exclusive game, with 0 single player mode. The concept here is very simple. Gravity goes up for one player and down for the other. It's all about momentum and perfect timing. This is a game that I put a decent amount of time into, but I never was able to finish, as the puzzles get really difficult later on in the game, but I do really enjoy it. The graphics look very simple, but it does have a nice art style. Ibb and Obb is definitely a highly recommended co-op game. Another one that I don't hear mentioned very often is Tristoy. This one plays kind of like a co-op Metroidvania, and it has a dynamic split screen that works really well. If you're together, you're on one screen, you split up, and then it goes to split screen. I mentioned this a lot on this channel, but I wish that was implemented in more games. It's just very helpful, especially for a Metroidvania. This one has a very dark and moody vibe. This game has asymmetrical roles, with each character having their own unique abilities, so you have to work together to get through the stages. This one's pretty short, and that's probably for the best, because unfortunately, this game is a little bit hit and miss. There's things that I like about it, but ultimately, the gameplay can be very frustrating, and it's really just missing some polish here. If you're looking for a co-op Metroidvania, there's definitely other games that are better, but it's still worth trying out. And now for probably the most obscure game on this list, it's called Co&Co, and it came out on the Commodore 64 in 1985. Like I said, it's very obscure, but it's an inventive game. It might be the first co-op exclusive game ever made. Don't quote me on that. There's just a surprising amount of collaborative design for an 8-bit title. The game is a single screen platformer. It's not unlike the original Donkey Kong or Elevator Action or Burger Time. Something along those lines. I've seen some online gameplay of this where clearly one player was controlling both characters at the same time, but that's not what you're supposed to do. It's meant to be played as a 2-player game. So basically you just work together, you climb up these ladders and ropes, and you try to get to the exit. And both players do need to get to the exit in order to progress. The gameplay is very simple and pretty dated, but it's still fun and definitely worth trying out. And just the fact that this is such an early title to be a co-op exclusive definitely makes it worth looking into. So those are the local co-op games that are 2-player only. They don't have any single player modes. Those are the ones that I'm aware of. I know there are some online games as well. We have Bokura and We Were Here. Those are both online games. And then there's also games like Space Team, which technically is a local co-op game, but it requires multiple cell phones. Then we also have Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is also kind of a local co-op game where one player is on their tablet or computer and the other players have a manual to look at, and you all have to work together. But those are kind of outside of my wheelhouse. I might do a separate video covering those types of games too, but I am aware of them. What are some co-op exclusives that I missed? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, or maybe you're new to this channel, check out some of our other videos. This is one where I talked about my favorite co-op games from my childhood. And thanks for watching.